Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into some seriously cool science?
Always.
Well, today we're taking a look at something called immune receptor sequencing.
Oh, very cool.
So you know how your blood holds all sorts of clues about your health, right?
Right.
Well, this tech takes it to a whole new level. Our immune systems are like record keepers.
Hmm.
They log every encounter with a virus, bacteria, a vaccine,
Oh, interesting.
and scientists have figured out how to read these records.
Wow.
It's a new method called MAL-ID.
Mal-ID.
Yeah, have you heard of it?
I have, yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it? Each exposure shapes the receptors on your B cells and T cells.
Right, those are key players in your immune system.
Absolutely. And now we're figuring out how to read those records.
So MAL-ID, what is it exactly?
Well, it stands for Machine Learning for Immunological Diagnosis.
Okay.
It's basically an AI system that analyzes the millions of B cell and T cell receptors in your blood.
Okay.
And from that, it can spot patterns.
What kind of patterns?
Patterns that could indicate a specific disease or even predict future health risks.
Hold on, predict future health risks?
Yeah.
That sounds a little bit like science fiction.
It might sound futuristic, but the research is showing incredible promise.
Wow.
MAL-ID uses 3 different models to analyze these receptor sequences.
Okay, so 3 models, each targeting a different aspect of the immune response.
You got it.
Okay, well, let's break that down a little. What's the first model all about?
So the first one focuses on what we call repertoire composition.
Repertoire composition.
Yeah, it analyzes the frequency of different gene segments.
Okay.
You know, the ones used to build your immune receptors. It's kind of like a fingerprint.
A fingerprint.
Everyone has a unique combination of these gene segments.
Oh, okay.
And past exposures, they sort of leave their mark on this fingerprint.
So if someone's had measles, their fingerprint would show a higher frequency of specific gene segments related to measles.
Exactly, and that's just one piece of the puzzle.
Gotcha. So what about the second model?
The second model is called CDR3 clustering.
Okay.
It takes a different approach.
How so?
It hunts for very similar receptor sequences, but sequences that are shared between people with the same condition.
So if a bunch of people with, let's say, multiple sclerosis have similar receptor sequences.
Right, that similarity suggests those receptors are specifically targeting MS.
Oh, interesting. So it's like finding matching puzzle pieces,
Yeah,
linking similar immune responses to a specific illness.
exactly.
That makes sense. What about the third model? This is where the AI really kicks in, right?
This is it, yeah. We call it protein language modeling.
Protein language modeling.
It uses AI to analyze the receptor sequences for structural similarities.
Structural similarities.
Right, so it can hint at shared function, even if the sequences aren't identical.
So like recognizing different dialects of the same language.
A perfect analogy. The sequences might not be identical, but they share a common structure.
And that structure points to a specific immune response.
That's the idea.
Wow, so it's not just about finding exact matches, but deciphering the deeper meaning behind the structure of these receptors.
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive. But how accurate is this MAL-ID system? I mean, can it really distinguish between different diseases with a high degree of certainty?
That's what makes this so groundbreaking. Across 6 different immune states, MAL-ID achieved an ORAC score of 0.986.
0.986? Wow, can you unpack that for me?
It's like flipping a coin and getting heads almost every single time.
So it's very accurate.
Incredibly accurate.
But practically speaking, how does this accuracy compare to current diagnostic methods?
That's the key. It's not just a small step forward. It's a giant leap. MAL-ID is far more accurate than older methods that simply matched identical sequences.
Okay, so those older methods were like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Exactly. But MAL-ID is like having a magnet that pulls the needle right to you.
So we're talking about a potential game changer here.
We are. This could have massive implications for healthcare.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I have to ask, you mentioned MAL-ID is powered by AI. But isn't a lot of AI just a black box?
Right, right.
How do we know what's really driving these diagnoses?
That's a great question, and it's something the researchers addressed.
Oh, good.
One of the most remarkable things about MAL-ID is that it's not just spitting out diagnoses.
Okay.
Researchers were able to actually see which specific receptor features were most important for identifying each disease.
So they could peek inside the black box.
Exactly.
And they confirmed that MAL-ID was picking up on genuine biological signals.
They did.
Okay, good. That's reassuring.
And it gets even better. This interpretability makes MAL-ID valuable, not just for diagnostics,
For what else?
for research.
Ah.
By understanding which receptor features are linked to specific diseases, scientists can gain new insights.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly.
It helps us diagnose diseases more accurately and unlocks new avenues for research and treatment.
You got it.
This is all incredibly fascinating, but I need some concrete examples.
Sure.
How did MAL-ID actually perform when tested on real diseases?
Let's start with COVID-19.
Okay.
When they tested it on blood samples from COVID-19 patients, MailID correctly prioritized IgG antibodies.
IgG antibodies, we know those are a big part of the immune response to the virus, right?
Right.
So it's not just theoretical.
Nope.
It's actually confirming what scientists already know about the immune response to COVID-19.
Exactly. It provides further validation for MailID's accuracy.
Wow. And what about other diseases?
It gets even more interesting when we look at things like lupus.
Lupus, yeah.
That could be notoriously difficult to diagnose, right?
It can be, yeah.
Well, MailID accurately highlighted IgA autoantibodies.
IgA autoantibodies, those are like a hallmark of lupus, right?
Exactly, a strong indicator of the disease.
So for people struggling to get a clear diagnosis of lupus, MALID could be huge.
It really could.
Wow. And it doesn't stop there, I'm guessing?
Nope, they tested it on HIV. The model was able to differentiate between individuals who develop broadly neutralizing antibodies and those who don't.
Now I'm a little lost. What are broadly neutralizing antibodies?
They're special antibodies.
Okay.
They can target a wider range of HIV strains,
Okay.
which is essential for developing effective vaccines and treatments.
It's like having a universal key that can unlock any door.
Yeah, instead of needing a specific key for each one.
Got you. The fact that MALID can distinguish these different immune profiles in HIV patients is pretty amazing.
It's incredibly promising.
This is all incredibly promising, but with any new technology, there are always concerns about potential limitations or biases. Did the researchers address those concerns?
They absolutely did.
Oh, good.
One of the biggest concerns with any diagnostic tool is inaccuracies due to variations in data collection methods.
Yeah, okay.
These variations are known as batch effects,
Okay.
and they can skew the results.
So how did the researchers ensure that MALID wasn't being fooled by these batch effects?
They took rigorous steps to control for these factors,
Okay.
and the results were very reassuring.
How so?
They showed that MALID's accuracy remained high even when tested on external data sets.
From other labs?
Yes,
And those data sets were processed using different methods?
exactly, proving that MALID's accuracy is driven by genuine biological signals.
Not just statistical quirks.
Nope.
That's crucial. So we can be confident that MALID is picking up on real differences.
Yes.
It's not just being thrown off by variations in how the data was collected.
Right?
That's essential. It means we can trust this as a reliable diagnostic tool.
Absolutely. This level of validation is essential.
Okay, wow. I'm still processing all of this information about MALID.
It's a lot,
It
yeah.
really is. It's amazing to think we might be on the verge of such a major shift in healthcare.
I know.
But, it's still in its early stages, right?
It is.
What are some of the most exciting directions for future research?
Well, right now, the models are trained on a limited set of conditions. Expanding that range is a huge priority.
So what, like imagine a future where a single test could screen for a wide range of diseases.
Exactly.
Everything from infectious diseases to autoimmune disorders, even certain types of cancer.
Right?
Wow, that would truly revolutionize healthcare.
It would.
I mean, early detection is so crucial for so many conditions.
It really is. It's like getting a head start in a race against disease.
Exactly. And it's not just detection, is it?
No.
MALID could also change how we manage chronic conditions.
Oh, absolutely.
Take lupus, for example.
Okay.
Right now, assessing disease activity relies on symptoms, blood tests, imaging. It can be pretty subjective.
It can, yeah. Sometimes you miss important nuances.
So MALID could provide a more objective, personalized picture.
Exactly. With MALID, doctors could track disease progression more precisely,
Okay.
allowing for fine-tuned treatment adjustments and maybe even early intervention.
Wow. So before a major flare-up even happened.
That's the idea.
That would be incredible for people living with lupus.
It would.
But it sounds like the potential goes way beyond just diagnosing existing diseases, right?
Right.
You mentioned predicting future health risks.
Yes.
That still feels a bit mind-boggling to me.
It is pretty remarkable. One of the most exciting areas of research is using MALID to identify who might be at higher risk.
For developing certain diseases, you mean?
Yeah, even years before any symptoms appear.
Okay, that's wild. Can you give me a specific example? How would that even work?
Sure. Researchers are studying MALID's potential for predicting type 1 diabetes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
They analyze immune receptor sequences and look for patterns associated with increased likelihood of developing the disease.
So let's say someone gets this test and it shows they have a higher risk of type 1 diabetes. What happens then?
Well, that's when it gets really interesting.
How so?
Early identification opens up all sorts of possibilities for prevention.
Okay.
Doctors could work with individuals to implement lifestyle changes.
Diet, exercise, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Things that could potentially delay or even prevent the onset of the disease.
Wow, that's incredible. That's truly preventive medicine in action.
It is.
Catching diseases before they even fully develop. Are there other areas where MALI-D might be useful for this, predicting future health risks?
Oh, absolutely. Researchers are exploring its potential for all sorts of conditions,
Like,
heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, even certain types of cancer.
it's amazing. Okay, so we've got this incredible technology that can diagnose diseases, predict future health risks, and potentially revolutionize chronic disease management. It all sounds amazing, but I'm also wondering, are there any downsides?
Of course, with any new technology, especially one this powerful, we need to be mindful.
Of what?
Potential challenges. Data privacy and security is a big one.
Okay, right, because these immune receptor sequences contain a lot of sensitive information, right?
They do, so we need to make absolutely sure that this data is protected.
No unauthorized access or misuse.
Exactly.
So strong data encryption, secure storage systems, strict privacy protocols.
All essential. We have to maintain public trust and ensure the ethical use of this technology.
Yeah, makes sense. What else? Are there any other potential challenges?
Well, ensuring equitable access to this technology is important.
Okay, yeah. So it's not just available to the wealthy.
Right. Everyone who could benefit should have access, regardless of their socioeconomic status or where they live.
Otherwise, we risk exacerbating existing health disparities.
Exactly.
That's a really important point. We don't want this to become a technology that's only for the privileged.
Absolutely. Equitable access is crucial for maximizing the positive impact of MALI-D.
And creating a more just and equitable healthcare system for everyone.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got data privacy, equitable access. Anything else?
Well, there's always the potential for false positives or false negatives.
Right, no test is perfect.
Exactly. There's always a chance of getting an inaccurate result.
So how can we minimize those risks?
Well, continuous refinement of the algorithms, rigorous validation studies, and ongoing monitoring.
Those are all key.
They are, and of course, it's important to remember that MALI-D is a tool
Okay.
to aid healthcare professionals, not replace them.
Right. So the result should always be interpreted in context.
Exactly, within the context of an individual's overall health history.
That makes sense. So we've talked about the possibilities, the challenges, and the importance of responsible development. What else stands out to you about the future of this, of immune-based diagnostics?
Well, this is a rapidly evolving field. What we know today is just a glimpse of what's possible.
Right.
So as research continues and the technology improves, we can expect even more amazing breakthroughs.
That's exciting to think about.
It is.
Maybe one day a test like this will be as routine as a cholesterol check,
I could see that.
providing us with so much information about our health and guiding us towards a healthier future. But before we get too carried away with the future, let's come back to the present. Are there any real-world applications happening with MALI-D right now?
Yes. We've touched on a few, but one that's really powerful is its ability to distinguish between different severities of lupus.
Okay, right. We talked about how diagnosing lupus can be challenging.
It is. And even when diagnosed, determining the severity can be tricky.
So how does MALI-D help with that? How is it different from current methods?
Well, current methods often rely on clinical symptoms,
Right.
blood tests for inflammation, imaging studies.
And sometimes the pieces don't fit together perfectly.
Exactly. It could be subjective, and there's room for error.
Okay, so what does MALI-D offer that's different?
It offers a more objective, data-driven approach.
Hmm.
It's looking at the specific immune signatures associated with lupus activity.
Providing a more detailed picture.
Precisely.
Okay, so it's like having a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Allowing doctors to zoom in on the specific immune responses.
Exactly.
That sounds incredibly valuable
It is.
for both diagnosis and treatment decisions.
Yes. With MALI-D, doctors could potentially differentiate between patients with active flaring lupus and those with less active disease.
So it's not just about diagnosing lupus, it's about understanding each individual's disease experience
Right.
and tailoring treatment accordingly.
Exactly. And this is just one example of how MALI-D is already making a difference.
Wow.
As research progresses and the technology matures, we can expect to see even more applications.
This is incredible. It's like having a microscopic detective
It is.
uncovering clues about our health that we never knew existed.
Exactly.
Okay, I am eager to hear more about the real-world applications of MALI-D. But before we dive into those, let's take a quick break.
That's good.
When we come back, we'll continue exploring this fascinating world of immune-based diagnostics. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. We've been on quite a journey exploring this MALI-D and immune receptor sequencing.
We have.
It's pretty amazing to think we might be on the cusp of this new era in healthcare.
I know. Personalized preventative medicine. It's pretty close.
I know, it's like almost within reach. It is.
It really is.
But I want to make sure everyone listening really gets how revolutionary this technology is.
Right.
We're talking about analyzing millions of these tiny receptors in your blood.
It's a lot.
It is, and from that, unlocking so much information about your health.
It really is like a microscopic window into your immune system.
It is.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. All this information was always there,
Yeah,
hidden in plain sight.
right.
And our immune systems are just constantly interacting with the world around us,
Right.
recording these encounters in these receptor sequences.
And MalID gives us the tools to decipher them.
Exactly.
It's like cracking a secret code
It is.
that unlocks the mysteries of our health.
Yeah, I like that.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive here, I want to leave everyone with a question.
Okay.
If MalID was, a reality today,
Yeah.
what disease would you be most curious to have it screen for?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Something that runs in your family, a condition you're concerned about,
Hmm.
or just something you're curious to understand better.
For me, I think the potential applications in autoimmune diseases are just so fascinating.
Right.
They're so complex, they're challenging to diagnose, and MalID could be that tool for early detection and personalized treatment.
Right. So we could identify people at risk early on, maybe intervene with lifestyle changes or therapies to prevent the onset of these conditions.
Right. That's the hope.
That's amazing. And it's not just limited to autoimmune diseases, right?
Oh, absolutely not. We've talked about it. MalID has the potential to change so much.
Yeah.
Infectious diseases, cancer, even neurodegenerative disorders.
It's pretty incredible.
It is.
But beyond specific diseases, I think what excites me most is the shift it represents in our approach to healthcare.
Right.
This move towards a more proactive, personalized,
Yep.
a more empowering model of care.
It's not just reacting to disease.
Right.
It's about preventing it.
Detecting it early.
Personalizing intervention.
It's a whole different way of thinking.
It is.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, and hopefully everyone listening is as excited about the future of immune-based diagnostics as we are.
Me too.
This technology has the potential to truly revolutionize healthcare.
It does.
And I can't wait to see where it goes.
It's going to be incredible.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of MalID and immune receptor sequencing. We'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration at the cutting edge of science and technology.